I wear this baseball hat and suit because of my dad. I used to laugh at him. We used to laugh at him because he would wear a suit with a baseball hat, like a Mo Money hat, right? He had all the hats from our shows, and he would like wear them because he was proud of us. And so that's why I wear this in honor of my dad. And I wear my mother's underwear because, no, I'm
You had me there. I just fell right into that.
Like,
Right, fell right.
You got me. This episode is brought to you by Pine Sol and Chase Home Lending.
Hello.
Hey, Smoothie Smooth.
How you doing?
I just want to touch this.
You like that?
It's like, ooh, is
Like
that
butter?
Is that pleather?
No, it's leather.
Did Kelly pick that out?
Kelly did pick this out.
And goes with my nails. She always finds a way to, make it work.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. So what's happening? What's happening?
Not much. We're back out here in LA.
I know, yeah.
I'm staying at an Airbnb, as you know. I like to do that now.
Yeah. You're a regular.
I am. I'm really enjoying this one. This is another guest favorite.
What's a guest favorite?
A guest favorite is a house or property that the people who visit market as a guest favorite. They favorite it after when they do their survey.
You mean that it's rated.
It's rated.
Okay.
It's rated
I
a
get
guest
it.
favorite.
I get it. So it's their rating. So it's high on the list.
It's high on the list, and I only stay in guest favorites, no matter where I go. But the best part about it, there are two things that I like about this one. Laundry. I can do my laundry, so I can.
Because you gotta wash your socks.
I gotta wash out my good lucky socks, and then the kitchen. I can do my workout in the morning and fix myself breakfast. Don't have to go anywhere.
You're not making yourself breakfast.
I am making breakfast.
What did you have for breakfast today?
Where's Paris? Paris saw my breakfast. I had fruit.
That's not making anything.
Eggs.
Oh, okay.
Bacon.
Fancy. You made bacon?
I made bacon Sunday.
Not.
I did. Why would I make this up?
What do you mean you made bacon Sunday? What do you mean? What?
I made bacon on Sunday for the whole week. That's what I do.
You carry old bacon around?
I don't. It's in the refrigerator. I'm at an Airbnb. It's in the refrigerator.
But it's pre-cooked? What are you talking about?
I cooked it. It's bacon like you get from the store.
I'm just confused.
She can't. You know why she can't? You can't believe it is because you don't have to cook any bacon anymore.
No, I don't, and I'm not ashamed to say
bacon.
it.
How do you cook? How do you have bacon? What do you carry bacon?
Well, you said
bacon
you
around?
cooked bacon on Sunday, but anyway,
I cooked it on Sunday.
All right. So
I had bacon, everything bagel toasted, 2 soft-boiled eggs,
okay,
and fruit.
All right.
And I would have had a banana, but we were running a little bit late this morning.
And you just couldn't squeeze the banana in.
I couldn't squeeze it in, so I just brought it with me.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you had a balanced breakfast and you're ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
Thank you, Airbnb, for giving my brother a guest favored with a kitchen.
Well, I'm so excited today because we have some favorites of ours that we are getting to meet for the first time.
I can't believe that in all these years we haven't met any of the Wayans. There's so many of them. I would have thought at some point you just run into somebody on the street and run into somebody in the motorcade.
Exactly.
You know? It's like, was that a Wayans that got hit?
By the motorcycle?
I think that was one of the Wayans.
Because there's so many of them.
There's so many of them, right?
Well, given all the White House parties you've had, I'm surprised that they didn't just show up at one or two of them.
Well, that would be hard to do.
Yeah, because they're West Coast guys.
We got to make up for that.
Yeah,
But
let me do my intros here. So we have Damon and Marlon Wayans joining us, folks. I'm so excited to talk to them, and I'm almost giggling already. I haven't even heard him say anything yet. But Damon Wayans Sr., because there is a Damon Wayans Jr.
Yes, we all know that.
Is a legendary comedian, actor, writer, and producer with decades in the entertainment industry. Decades. That makes him sound as old as I am.
I know.
He rose to fame on In Living Color, which was one of our favorite shows. We used to watch that and crack up. And he later starred in and co-created My Wife and Kids. Now, our kids love that show.
Malia said they are back up on that. Like it just happened, you know, like they discovered the son.
I know. And you can watch him now on Papa's House airing on CBS. And along with Damon is his younger brother, Marlon Wayans.
We got two of them.
Actor, comedian, writer, producer, and director. He's currently on the road for his Wild Child tour.
Yeah.
Which will culminate in his 5th stand-up special. After 20 years, Marlon is reuniting with his brothers, Keenan and Sean Wayans, to write and produce a Scary Movie reboot, which is set for release June 12th, 2026. So I have so much more to say, but why don't we bring them out so we can say it to them? Come on out, guys. So good to see you.
And everybody is color coordinated.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to IMO.
IMO.
Where I get to work with my brother, which is also why
Welcome
this
to my
is
hell.
kind of really. There we go. Any advice as I embark on an endeavor with a sibling?
Just enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Says the older sibling.
You know what I'm saying?
Says the bully.
Oh, yeah.
Well, somebody got to put you in check, and that's my job. But it's a privilege to work with family.
Yeah.
And especially when you get along.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you guys, this chemistry is palpable. You could just tell that y'all love each other, and then what's the problem?
And you spend so much time at work that sometimes life can pass you by.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're working with family, you're actually living and doing your work at the same time. So it's actually, you're doing a 2-for-1, and it's really a blessing to do what you love with who you love.
True that.
Oh, wow. Well,
and that comes across. I mean, it really does. And all these, true that. There's some wisdom right there. You had a little special sauce. But you
you
can
were surprised from it coming from the young fellas, right?
Hey.
Oh, he the older brother?
Yeah. No, although he doesn't
you didn't
act
know
like
that,
it.
did you?
See?
No,
Because here's the thing. It's different when you're a little brother. A little sister really is, they're always going to be the big sister.
Yes.
Because women have this thing where you got to respect and they put you in their place.
There you go.
Preach, brother.
There you go.
So,
You know who the bully in the family is?
I am not.
I feel the vibe.
They both look.
That's
They
why I
were
sat over here. I was like, King gonna be pinching me underneath this table. No, but I think also allow yourself the space to be individuals and just we're all different. I always tell my brothers, you got to do this way. No, you got to do it. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to do it that way. Yeah. I want to do it my
the dumb way. He wants to do it the dumb way.
But that's the Marlon way. The dumb way.
He said, I just keep failing until I figure it out.
Yeah.
That's so stupid. Why don't you listen and have success? No,
because that would be your success. I got to find my success.
Oh, there you go. There you go. See, that's the spoken like a little sibling. Yeah. It's like you can't show us the way. We got to run into the wall on our own. You talk about, let's talk about your sisters,
yes,
right? Because everybody knows the brothers.
Yes,
but
right.
Tell me about, we know Kim.
Yes.
I think that's the only sister I have seen out in the world. But you got a bunch of them because it's a lot of y'all.
Yeah, we have 5 sisters. They're all so talented. So
they're hilarious.
Really?
Yeah, you hang around and all they do is crack jokes. Elvira and Devon, and they're funny. But
they're
to do what we
funnier
do
than us in some ways because they could just say they can't get canceled.
Yeah, that's right.
So they just
unfiltered.
So they're telling the
they
truth.
Just say it.
They're not in the business though, right?
No.
They're just funny people in the world.
I don't think they can handle the rejection that comes with, like going on stage. The thing about doing stand-up is you're not funny until you're funny. And it takes, you got to put in 10,000 hours to figure out what's not funny.
Yeah.
And you gotta want fame, like that's a 24-hour job. I don't get to clock out. I think being a mother is hard enough, and especially a lot of the times being a single mother.
Yeah.
So, the fact that they were young and they raised their kids and, we as uncles assisted, but, I'm proud of my sisters for, being great mothers and really loving their children and they're in the industry.
You guys had a lot of strong women. You had your mother, you had your sisters. How do you think that's made you better people, better men?
I had an aunt. She just passed in February, and she wasn't my favorite. You're supposed to have favorites, but she told all my brothers and sisters, Damon's my favorite.
Yeah.
And was not ashamed to say it. And, being born with a club foot, it's like God gave me somebody.
That was
and
on
it's
your
powerful
side.
to have somebody that loves you unconditionally. And I would get in trouble in school and, with the law. And my aunt never said nothing to me. And I recently asked her, I said, Aunt Mary, why you never check me? Because I seen you check your own kids. She said, well, it's your mama's job to beat you. My job is to love you.
Yeah.
And I think it's so powerful to have that person in your life. Yeah. And that's who it helps.
Well, now that I know that you was her favorite, I want to take back that sewing machine I bought her.
Well, don't worry, Marlon. He was my mother's favorite.
It's rough being the favorite.
It's
rough.
It's rough. Favorite.
Oh, see?
But my mama lied to all of us. She was like, you my favorite. You my favorite. Keenan, you my favorite. We were all her favorites, and we all felt at some point we were all her baby. But I know I was her favorite. I was born on my mama's birthday, so we had a special bond. We would fight. Me and my mom, we'd argue with each other. But that's sometimes, we fight, but we always make up.
Yeah.
He never had a birthday. No. It was always about my mother.
Oh, yeah.
And so when she finally died, then he had a birthday, and it was the saddest birthday.
Dang.
A lonely couple.
You got what you wanted. You wanted a birthday. Here you go.
Yeah.
Well, tell us more about your upbringing, because having so many siblings be so talented it's just the two of us. So this is who we could play with. The two of us.
The greatest things that we have is each other. And I don't have a lot of friends. Marlon has a lot of friends. Kim has a lot lot of friends.
What's the matter with you, Damon?
I don't
see what I mean?
He called me crazy.
Yeah.
It's
what really
you're trying to be
open and ridiculed, and so friends have kind of turned on me. So I have his friends.
Yeah,
they're my friends, and I'm friends with them because they're vetted. You know what I mean? And as long as he loves them, I love him.
Yeah.
When he stopped loving them, I don't have to feel nothing.
It's we done with her. Yeah. Let me go on and get my coffee.
But I think we all get along. My mother made sure that we all played together. Made sure that when we argue, I'd go kiss in the mouth. When we argue, my mother go on, kiss him in the mouth. And Sean's breath was weird, so I decided to just get along with him no matter what.
Kelly did that with our kids. My wife
made your youngest two.
Our
kiss
youngest
in the
two.
mouth?
You're gonna have to.
You never told me that story.
But that's because they don't ever fight, because they don't want to kiss each other on the mouth.
I saw the funniest thing online. There was two kids that was fighting, and their mother made the two boys hug, and they had to sing the Wayans brothers theme song. It's we're brothers, we're happy, and we're singing, and we're colored. I thought that was so cute.
That's so sweet. They're so sweet.
Do you guys have fist fights?
Not with each other.
No.
My brother would cave my chest in, but that wasn't a fight. That
just one punch.
Yeah,
that one. I used to do that in his back. Because I was little. Just one of these hard kind of. You could hear the echo in his back. It's
Yeah. Yeah, we couldn't fist fight, because then you had to fight my father. And he didn't. My father just didn't. He was like a guy who would, send a message to all of you, and you don't want to be the example.
Yeah.
You don't. So, we didn't. There was no
we
real
didn't fight
fist
each other, but we jumped people. My mother always said, 4 fists beat 2 any day.
Yeah,
if you get in a fight, that means you getting in a fight. Nobody fight alone. So we got in a fight. I remember
baby would be kicking people.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a time, I don't know if you knew this, because we, close in age, went to the grammar school around the corner. And, this is how close we were. Craig was always a popular kid because he was a sports kid, did all the stuff. But at Bryn Mawr, I was coming out of school at the end of the day, and for some reason, people came up and said, your brother's in a fight. Your brother's in a fight. They're kicking his ass. They're beating his ass. And I was always that tough girl, But the thought, like the image of you being beat up, I broke down, because I was just envisioning you getting hit by some guys. And I don't know if I told you that, but I was like hysterical. And then you found out on the playground that I was hysterical, and you came over and you said, it was just a joke, nothing really happened.
Yes.
But I always thought I would be able to just, thug up. But just the thought of him being hurt, I was surprised at myself, even though as a little girl, I was like, get it together. But I couldn't.
I remember that. I remember that. And it was one of those things where your friends are like joking around. So everybody was the victim at some point where all of us kind of jumped them, but we weren't, they're not real punches. And she was so upset. And I do remember that. And then I became upset because you were upset.
Yeah.
This episode of IMO is sponsored by Chase Home Lending, committed to supporting you all the way home with smart digital home buying tools and resources. Chase Home Lending is dedicated to helping individuals and families achieve their dream of home ownership. They offer expert guidance throughout the home buying journey, helping customers navigate the process with confidence. This brings me back to a time when we grew up living upstairs from my aunt in a 2-family home that she owned and we rented. And it was a wonderful time, but being a renter, we had to be extremely careful of what we did. For example, we had to be quiet at a certain time. We couldn't play on the front lawn. My sister couldn't have a dog. And we didn't realize the importance of being a homeowner until we got late in life. We always would talk to our dad about why we don't own a home, and he talked about being house poor. Little did we know that home ownership was a great way to build equity. My sister and I ended up buying our own homes later in life, and we used that to help pay for our kids' college. And that is a way where home ownership can lead to future success. Chase Home Lending offers personalized support, expert knowledge, and access to valuable resources, helping home buyers navigate the complexities of getting a mortgage. Their guidance ensures buyers find a financial fit and make informed decisions. Visit chase.com/start to see how Chase can support your homeownership journey. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Opportunity.
You know what's funny is I didn't go get my brothers when I got into fights. I would get my sisters. My sisters was vicious. Devon. Devon, one time this kid, Baldy Joe, was beating me up, and he was like a 16-year-old kid, and my sister had cornrows. She was about 250 pounds. She said, come here. And she grabbed him by his arms like this, and she said, Marlon, punch him in the face. I was like, Devon, he gonna beat me. She said, if you don't punch him, I'm gonna punch you. I was like, bow. And, my sisters always had my back in that way.
I didn't get my brother because I saw Keenan get beat up. Not like badly. So Keenan used to walk around in kung fu slippers. Like he was
just a
Bruce
target.
Lee, Jim Kelly phase. And he had nunchucks. He would have and he was really good. He would kick the ceiling. And then one day he got into a fight with this dude, Bobby Boyd, in the building, in the lobby of the building. And Keenan, everybody's like, oh, snap. Because he was going to do the karate. Oh. And then Keenan went to take off his shirt.
Oh, man.
And the dude snatched him with his shirt up over his head and just pummeled him. And Keenan was on the floor.
Oh, no.
And there was blood seeping through his shirt. And I'm like, get up, Keenan, use your nunchucks.
Get up, you can do it.
You can do it.
Untangle your arms from your shirt. Oh, no.
This guy you looked up.
Don't get Keenan.
If you do, make sure you take his shirt off upstairs.
Really? It's like, oh, man, that Bruce Lee didn't warn him about that. Don't lock yourself up in your shirt, Oh, man.
Bruce Lee didn't wear pullovers.
When I think of you guys, when I you hear about your background, all of y'all living in 2 rooms. It reminds me of how we grew up. I mean, it was just the 2 of us. That's the only reason, there wasn't that we felt like we had more space. But we grew up sharing a room until he went to high school.
Wow.
And then our parents turned the back porch into a bedroom so he could have his own room because they thought, well, this grown Negro needs to have his own room. But, our childhood was like yours. No money. Yep. A lot of love, good values.
Yes.
Humor.
Yes.
A lot of laughter.
Government cheese?
Yeah. Never government cheese because my father had a good city job, right?
Okay.
And I think that was the only reason. And there were 2 of us.
Yeah.
Probably if there had been 10 of us, government cheese would have been involved,
Yeah.
But there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about the values our parents instilled. And, we just lost our mother last year, and it's like, you never stop grieving that. I mean, I still can't even talk about her or my dad without, losing it, which is a tough thing to do when you're speaking in front of 1,000 people and it's like,
I know.
But there are just a lot of phrases and words that go through my mind every day that they instilled. And I'm just wondering, you must have some of those.
I live my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. I live them. Like with my everyday effort, I try to honor my parents.
Yep.
When it comes to loving my siblings. As they're all so different and it's a lot. But I make sure because I know my mother would want that. I know my father would want that. And so I try to honor them with my actions. I try to honor them as a good father, as a good uncle with my nephews and my nieces. And it's always an open door and to honor them with love and to be an example. That's why I don't go to parties and things like I used to, because I know I have grown kids. My grown kids are looking at me to be an example. So, and then I'm the linchpin between our generation and their generation. So as the baby, I'm the oldest of this next generation. So I have to instill all that my parents governed us and instill that into them. And I think one of the greatest things my father ever did was, besides the fear of him, he gave us the fear of God. And I think that helped us a lot. We covered it.
I wear this baseball hat and suit because of my dad. I used to laugh at him. We used to laugh at him because he would wear a suit with a baseball hat, like a Mo Money hat, right? He had all the hats from our shows, and he would wear them because he was proud of us. And so that's why I wear this in honor of my dad. And I wear my mother's underwear because, no, I'm kidding.
You had me there. I just fell right into that.
Fell right. You got me.
But when you guys first started out, did you have real jobs, or did you, because your older brothers were already in the business, you went straight there? I'm sure you had to have I've
been working since I was 7 years old.
So that makes me wonder where, a lot of Black families would be like, entertainment, you got to go get a job. What was it about your parents that they were so encouraging?
It wasn't my parents.
Okay, let's clarify.
They were Black parents. Like, what you mean entertainment? You ain't never been entertaining, and I know you my whole life. Keenan was like, I'm going to pursue my dreams. I'm not going to pursue your dreams. I'm going to pursue my dream. And that took a lot of courage. And I remember when he did it, and I remember the impact it had on me as a kid. And it's funny, as a man, Keenan still wants me to now do his dream. And I'm like, no, I want to do my dream. Like you did your dream. But that was very powerful and impactful for our family.
Was Keenan kind of, as the eldest, as really kind of father-like because of the age difference? Or
it was that, and he just had it together. Keenan had vision, right? I had an older brother, Dwayne, who was paranoid schizophrenic. So you couldn't take any direction from him.
It's like,
I remember he tried to teach me to drive. Turn the wheel. We're on the freeway. I'm 8.
Wait.
Turn the darn 8.
First of all, you were 8, not
8 years
18.
old. No seatbelts. We had to stand up in the car.
If you turn, you slide over like this.
Crazy man. Pig, turn the wheel. And I just start laughing.
So that brother was out, right?
Yes.
It's like, so we know not to follow his
Don't
guidance.
follow Dwayne.
It's like, don't follow Dwayne. Yeah.
Yeah, Keenan was always like, he was an A student. He was. It's interesting how life will take you on this journey. Bruce Lee said, "Stay liquid, so you always end up where you're supposed to be."
Yeah.
And so with Keenan, he told me he went to Tuskegee, and he went there to learn that the improvisation club was 2 miles away from where we lived.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because he used to stand, they had a totem pole, and he would stand out there and tell jokes every day. And someone came up to him and said, "Man, you're funny. You should do stand-up comedy." And it's right down the block from where we grew up. That's what he says he learned from college.
Yeah, it's like, what was
Bruce
2 blocks
Lee is
away?
not liquid, but not to take your shirt off if it's a pull.
In the middle of the fight. It's like, a different kind of liquid.
Yeah, and for me, my journey, I started out wanting to be a singer.
Can you sing?
No, when I was young. No, when I was young.
That seems like an obvious question.
No,
Can you sing?
I used to sing like Michael Jackson.
Through a gerbil and a garbage disposal. I hate the way you sing.
Oh my God.
Now I can't, because when I went through puberty, I told my mother, I said, "Ma, could I take some lessons?" She said, "Boy, I can't even feed you."
Yeah, you don't get no lessons.
You don't get no lessons. Find something else to do. That's what she told me. Find something else.
Next.
And so I started DJing. And that was my dream. I wanted to be a DJ.
Craig was a DJ
Still,
in
I
college.
got turntables and
mixer.
CDJ. Yeah. And with stems and all the stuff you can do now.
His DJ
crazy.
name was Craigie Craig.
Craigie Craig.
Craigie Craig.
Creative.
Right here, Craigie Craig.
My man. Yeah.
And so I went to we used to throw parties up in when I moved out of my house, at my parents' house at 16. I lived with my cousin up in Marble Hill, the projects. And we used to throw parties and all the girls be out there. It was fun. And then when Keenan moved to California, he gave me his apartment in Washington Heights. And I was like, okay, cool. So I told my cousin I'm moving. And he's like, all right, well, you got to do what you got to do. And I had all this equipment. I had speakers the size of washing machines. And
because that's how big speakers were back in the day.
And I made them myself. I went to downtown, bought tweeters and the subwoofers and all that.
I remember that.
And my cousin, I came back to get my stuff, and it was all gone.
Oh, no.
And I was like, yo, Reedy, you need to give me my stuff back. He was actually 250 pounds at 14 years old. So I knew he could beat me, but because I was 125 pounds, right? And so I just had to take that on the chin and find something else to do. I told his mother, I said, "Mom, he took my stuff."
Took your
she
stuff.
said, "You ain't expect to live here for free." I was like, "You were in on it?" What? And he took all my stuff and he brought it up to a barbershop. I taught him how to cut hair. Took it to this barbershop, and I was just like, what am I going to do? And then I found stand-up. So it's interesting how where the journey will take you. I wouldn't have done stand-up if I was going to be, if I was really committed to being the DJ.
Yeah. Where's your cousin now?
He died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we won't talk about him then.
No.
Just because he stole his equipment. He didn't cry at the funeral. They made sure they put him in a real little casket.
I'll show him.
Well, speaking of family,
Looked like this. We had to tuck him in the casket. It was a circle.
it's like, here you go. Pay back. Well, with such a big family, because it's not just your brothers and sisters, but extended family. I mean, I talk to a lot of Black folks, make it big, and it's just the pressure to take care of everybody can be overwhelming. And have you guys been in that position because of your fame, because of where folks are like, yo.
I just refuse to.
Yeah.
I think of it like this. I think the more I get, the more God provides.
Yeah.
He's never let me down. So it doesn't matter what people want, no matter what I have to do, I just give. And God is taking care of me every day. My kids is healthy. My kids are eating. They're thriving. I can ask them, I'm healthy. If I can do anything, if I could need to fly home to go do something and not just money, I try to be present. I try to show up. Yeah. And that's my assignment from God and my parents to love my siblings and my family like my mother and my father would, want me to. And that's just what I do.
That's beautiful.
Well, we've got a listener who's a mom who is trying. She's got younger kids and trying to raise her kids to not be so competitive with each other and be more collegial with each other and get along.
Make them kiss in the mouth.
There you go.
The whole that's right
there. I think competition is good, if it's a healthy competition. Like we compete comedically, right? So the joke is thrown on the table and then we all, give our different takes on it. But whoever threw it on the table, that's their joke.
And I think in the spirit of the competition, I just want to, when I do a scene with Damon, the only thing I'm thinking is I don't want to be funnier than Damon.
Yeah.
I want to make my brother laugh.
Yeah.
I want to break him and break his son because then I know what I'm doing is funny.
Yeah.
If he stutters or he's holding back a laugh, I know I'm doing something right, and that's going to inspire him to go, okay, next take, I got something for you.
Marlon is a scene stealer. Don't be lying. He's in it for himself, but Marlon does want to make us laugh.
Does Marlon do the best impressions of everybody in the family?
No, Sean. Sean's magical. Yeah. Sean is the Jay Farrow of the Wayans family. That man's impressions, he does my father so good, you would think my father. He does my father better than my father did my father. Sean brilliant. Yeah. Sean brilliant.
He is.
Well, let's hear the question, and it's from Gina in Orange County. We're so thrilled that Pine Sol is a partner of IMO. Pine Sol has been connected to our family forever. To this day, whenever my sister and I catch the scent of Pine Sol, we automatically feel better about life. The smell of Pine Sol has always taken us back to our childhood home. It is amazing how smells can transport you to a place or a moment in time. Another smell that takes me back is cherry blossoms, which always remind me of visiting Michelle in D.C. That's why I'm excited for Pine Sol's newest scent, Cherry Blossom. The cleaning power you know and love from Pine Sol is available in a new scent this spring, Cherry Blossom, which is light and fresh and leaves a lasting floral scent while eliminating tough dirt, grease, and grime. You can use Pine Sol Cherry Blossom multi-surface cleaner to help deodorize and clean hard, non-porous surfaces, including floors, sinks, counters, stoves, bathtubs, shower stalls, tile, and more. Visit pinesol.com to find where to shop Pine Sol multi-surface cleaner in the new fresh cherry blossom scent. This episode of IMO is brought to you by Cologuard, a non-invasive colon cancer screening test. The Cologuard test is a one-of-a-kind way to feel more in control of your colon cancer screening through a prescription-based test with none of the prep that's required of a colonoscopy. When I was a coach, my players had a team of people helping them with their physical well-being. They had so many tools to make sure every member of the team was on top of their health and wellness. But what I want our listeners to know is that even if you eat well and have a healthy lifestyle, that does not mean you are low risk for colon cancer. The Cologuard test is the only FDA-approved, non-invasive option that looks for both altered DNA and blood in your stool, which can indicate the presence of abnormal cells. The good news is that when caught at the early stages, colon cancer is survivable in 90% of people. So screening and early detection are crucial. With zero downtime, no special preparation, and a screening test that's delivered right to your door, we shouldn't let our health take a back seat. So if you're 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a Cologuard prescription today at Cologuard.com/podcast. The Cologuard test is intended to screen adults 45 and older at average risk for colorectal cancer. Do not use a Cologuard test if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease, and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colorectal cancer. The Cologuard test is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Cologuard test performance in adults ages 45 to 49 is estimated based on a large clinical study of patients 50 and older. False positives and false negatives can occur. Cologuard is available by prescription only.
Hi, Michelle and Craig. My name is Gina, and my question is, what was it that your parents said or did that helped you grow to love and support one another throughout the years as siblings? As a full-time working mom of 4 kids, ages 9, 7, 5, and 5, one of the most difficult challenges of parenting has been trying to raise my kids to support each other. There seems to be a lot of competition between them, especially between my twin boys. As one of 5 siblings myself, growing up in a challenging immigrant environment, we just knew not to fight over any frivolous things. There was and still is a lot of love between myself and my siblings. Yet, seeing my kids who are so fortunate and privileged bicker and fight over the simplest things has been baffling. Any words of wisdom for this, Mama? Thank you for creating this platform. Gina from Orange County.
I think my parents taught us to respect their elders.
Mm-hmm.
So my respect as the baby, all my siblings, my sisters, I don't care how much money they got, I still got to listen to them. And, you know, I respect them. Damon, Keenan, my big brother Dwayne, you know, the older sibling sets the example for the younger sibling. My older brother Dwayne was a great big brother to Keenan and Damon. He was very protective.
No, to Keenan.
When he wasn't hitting you in the head with a wiffle ball bat. See,
Damon's like, don't quite remember it that way.
Damon holds grudges.
I love Dwayne.
But Dwayne taught, you know, he was very protective of Keenan. And he was kind of like the offensive line to a great quarterback. You know, sometimes it's just that extra block. And he just gave him that space. Yeah. And Keenan respected Dwayne. And Damon respected Keenan. I respect all of my siblings. So I think somebody has to set the example, and then you have to teach them respect and honor and love, and that we're all doing this together.
Yeah,
it's funny. It was like even now, this is how my family is. Like I'm 65 years old, and Keenan go get me a soda, and I gotta go get it.
And you do.
Yeah, I gotta go get it, and it's just like
that doesn't work that way in our family.
She's like, go get me a soda.
Yeah. If Marlon walks in the room and, you know, if I walk in a room and there's no seats, Marlon gets up.
Yeah.
Sean and Keenan will sit and Marlon will get up. You sit here. And my son will have to
That's why I
do the
love the
same
fact
thing.
that they have children.
Yeah.
Because I just use that. I go to my theater sometime and little Damon's there and Mikey's there. And as soon as I walk in the room, the youngest one gets up and lets me sit down without question. And I love that.
Did your parents instill that, or did you all do that sort of...
Just a code.
Yeah, it's just a code.
Informally.
Quiet code. Yeah. We didn't teach them that. They just watch how we do with each other.
Yeah.
And it's just a quiet code. Some things you don't have to teach. It's just what you see.
But it starts at the top. I mean, the way you talk about your father, I mean, there was sometimes a level of fear because you didn't know what he was going to do. But what was always there was a level of respect.
Yes. Right.
You know, and so whether you felt like that was happening just as your code, it started because that's how you thought of your father.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that had a little bit to do with how your parents interacted. But I also know that as siblings, sometimes we read the parental relationship differently or the situation. I'm wondering if you guys have different takes on.
Yeah, I was scared to death of my father.
Yeah.
Scared. Like he would pants my father. Like my father would be talking, he'd just snatch his pants off.
Oh, dang.
And for me, that was like a suicide.
That's why you so crazy.
That's suicide. Yes.
You would pants your
and my
father.
Hey, Jack, come on.
Hey,
I was Those were my friends.
Yeah.
My mother and my father were my friends. They were their parents.
I was scared.
I came along. My dad, they had money. My brothers had got them houses.
They were tired.
And
by the
were
time
old.
you came around,
my daddy
it's
had
like,
breasts. Who you going you pull that hair, the belt was all soggy. Man, if you don't sit your ass down, let's talk about this. All right, I'll come home at 1:30 instead of 2. But, beyond the fear of my father, I respected my father. Yeah. And it was the man that he was, that he showed up every day. That man made sure that he never left us. Never left us. And there was a time when him and my mother was breaking up. And all the kids was out the house except me and Sean. And my dad moved to Harlem. And my mother, at that time, she had her little schizophrenia going on, so she was cursing him out, calling him all kinds of names. My father left. And then he came back like a month later because he was like, I'm not done yet. My 2 boys need me. I didn't come this far to abandon. And because me and Sean started acting bad. And he was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to finish this assignment from God. And he showed up. And that example for me, I didn't fear my father. I just respect my father, and I love that man.
I feared him. Like I used to go and we used to like rob houses for stereo, for music equipment, DJ stuff.
So that's how it was just
payback.
This is what I'm saying. That's karma. Okay. Now it all comes. See, we all caught that. It's like, what?
No, but the stuff my cousin took was stuff that I bought.
Unlike the stuff you stole.
That they bought.
But listen, I would go with my friends, but
He's like, that's not the point. That's not the point.
We digress.
Yeah, I couldn't bring it home.
Yeah.
So my dad was like the security guy at Best Buy. You needed receipts. Where'd you get it from?
Yeah.
And where'd you make the money? You couldn't just bring stolen anything into the house.
Yeah.
I had a friend, Seymour. His mother would be shouting out requests. Seymour, play by Molly. I'm like, what? On that stolen stuff. Boy, get it out of my house. If you don't put on Bob Marley. But it was just a different kind of upbringing, and that fear kept me out of a lot of trouble. Stuff that I would think about doing, I wouldn't do because I thought about my dad.
Yeah.
If I got arrested, you know what? Keep me here, officer.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't want my father picking me up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even tell him my name. I'm serious. I was arrested until they just let me go because I wouldn't tell them my name.
Ingenious.
Fear. Yes.
But when I think about, what our parents did or didn't do, and maybe it's a little bit different because we're brother-sister, because that same gender dynamic may make it a little bit hard. But I know we got along for some of the same reasons. It was we didn't want to, our parents worked hard enough without us fighting and causing havoc. We knew our parents were working as hard as they could. We knew that they were giving us as much as they could. I guess we grew up grateful. And perhaps sometimes in this generation where kids have, I think, too much, parents are giving kids a lot of stuff and they're not giving them some guidance. That what we had was a lot of gratitude for the little bit that we did have. So it was sort of like, well, what was there left for us to be fighting about? I don't know about you, but my parents never asked me once whether I was happy.
Nope,
never. That was never even a question.
My mother said, "Get out of here with that stupid look on your face."
That's exactly. And I think we, to the questioner, I think, how do you get your kids to get along? I think parents have to sort of look at the foundation they're setting, because kids don't just out of the blue fight all the time.
Right.
That's not in their nature. So the question has to be, what tone are you setting in the house?
Well, it's funny. My parents, they argued like cats and dogs. And I guess we was like, we don't want to be like that.
Right. But I'm not talking about arguing or not. It's, are you establishing the foundations of respect?
Right.
Like, do they respect you or do they think you one of their little friends? Right. Because what I did with Malia and Sasha, I didn't mediate in between them, because I was like, I love you both. And if I don't know who was wrong, don't ask me to get in it. But what I would say is that if I have to get in it, everybody's in trouble.
Yes.
You know, that's all I can do because I don't want to play favorites. I'm not sure who's telling the truth. And so if I'm involved, I don't care what happened. Everybody, play is shut down, doors closed, computers off, it's over. And it was interesting that, you know, they wouldn't want me involved as a result. So they'd wind up, you'd hear them in the White House because their doors faced each other. There was a hall door into their rooms and their 2 bedrooms faced each other. And I'd say, you know, go, I don't care what you do, but figure it out. So you'd hear that quiet fighting like, Sasha, if you don't, and I tell you, wait, mom's gonna hear it. You slam and a slam. But eventually they'd figure it out because they wanted to keep playing.
The other thing we had to do was dinner time altogether.
Oh, yeah, we did that. We did that.
I know that if we had a phone,
if we had dinner,
well, even
when you had dinner,
when we didn't
Did
have
you
dinner,
have dinner?
No, even when we didn't have dinner, we had to sit around so he could tell us there ain't no food. And then we'd have a discussion about it. But you know, dinner was something that you didn't have an option. There was no, can I go in the no.
That was the same way in our house.
Sit your butt down in your seat and eat. And then we had to clean up. Like I would have to wash dishes or I would have to, you know, take out the garbage to clean. You know, each one had an assignment.
Yeah.
So those kind of things, you realize we can't watch TV until we all do this. Until the kitchen is clean.
Yeah.
Right? So it's simple things like that teach your kids to work together.
And also my mother buddied us up, right? So it's always like Sean, everywhere I went, that's your baby. He had to take his baby with him.
What's the age difference?
Me and Sean 1.5 years. So
and me and Keenan were like that.
1.5 years. That's your baby. And you just, me and Sean, we dreamed together. Like we used to watch TV together. We used to watch Abbott and Costello. We watched Honeymooners. Because in our little minds at 4 and 5 years old, we was going to create our own TV show.
Really? You knew that early?
Yeah, because I seen them on TV and I was just like, wait, we can actually do this?
That's right.
So from the young age of like 7, 8 years old, me and Sean, we was like, we're going to write our own show. So we just studied. And we had this buddy thing we always did. And my mother made us go, we were frickin' frack. If Sean was there, it was, my father used to call us Marlon and Sean. Marlon Sean.
Marlon Sean.
We had to go to go get their coffee. Yeah. We have to go to a grocery store together. Yeah. They buddied us up. And so that makes you take care of your younger sibling and makes you be responsible as an older sibling.
Yeah.
And it's weird how that is in the next generation.
I was just going to ask that. How you doing with your own kids?
Amar and Anaya, Bus, you know. You got Anaya and Berlin that paired up. You got Caden and Maverick, you know, they all, each one has their,
or their buddy cousin, like my son and Sean's daughter, Ilea, they're 23 years old. They at my house writing together, they're directing together, they're shooting music videos together. And then Layla, who's Sean's other daughter, is a DJ and a singer and a producer. And so the three of them all work together and they never really argue. They have so much fun. You would think they were siblings. We have a very tight-knit family.
Yeah.
Very.
What are some of the strategies that you guys, other than buddying up, that you learned from your parents that you're using on your own children? Because I think Gina would be able to hopefully take something away from that.
Well, the interesting thing is I go, you know, and some things I should have done just like my parents, but I was so like traumatized growing up that I, like with my kids, my sons, I didn't like spanking them. I hated when I had to spank them.
Yeah.
Like it hurt me.
Yeah,
I hit my kids one time.
Yeah, I was the same way.
And I cried like a baby because I was like, I can't do that to them.
It made me think about.
I felt silly and I took a couple of spankings for me to be like, yeah, you know what?
After the 52nd one, I was like,
you know, but I felt like, you know, this is a little kid, and the fact that I can't think of any better way to get my point across than to smack somebody on the butt, I felt embarrassed in the same way.
Boys are different though. Like boys are actively seeking destruction. That's like that.
I thought you were gonna say discipline.
No, they just do the stupidest thing. They jump off the roof. My son would jump off the roof into the pool.
Yeah.
Watch this, Dad. What?
It's like, what's...
And he's in the pool, and you just go, do you know how many different ways you could hurt yourself? But that was their thing, riding the bike down the hill backwards. It's like, what are you guys doing? But that's just something in, I think, boys' DNA that just makes them just a little aggressive and stupid. You know, whereas my daughters, I talk to them. You know, I frustrate them, you know, because like with my daughters, I realize, you know, at a certain age, they don't want to hear what you got to say.
That's and it comes pretty early.
So and so what I do is go, well, you're right where you want to be, baby. And when you get tired of being there, you'll change. That doesn't help me right now. But I know that I can't tell you. You don't want to hear what I have to say about your boyfriend. You don't want to.
I'm not going to allow you to deflect. I'm on your team. I'm not going to be the obstacle in your way. I don't want to be the fight. I'm here to support you, love you, whatever you want to do. It's your life. I'll pick up the pieces afterwards.
Because you realize if you try to, let's stay with the boyfriend, say something about someone's boyfriend, then you're attacking their ability to pick someone for themselves. So they defend them. They hold on and they fight. But if you just step back, then they're going to see that. They'll see what I see, and they'll see it quicker. Oh, this dude ain't nothing.
Well, I talk about that as like you guys are handing your children their lives, and you're doing it early so that they can learn from their own mistakes. And I think nowadays a lot of parents are trying to live their kids' lives for them so that they don't make any mistakes and don't feel any sense of failure, which keeps them from learning. I tend to agree with that in my parenting principles too. It's like, you know what? I raised y'all to have some sense, to have some judgment. And at some point, you've got to practice that, which means that I've got to let go. So even in the White House, my motto before these kids went to college, I gave them more rope because I was like, here, have more freedom.
That's because you had the Secret Service watching.
Well, that was also true. Barack will say his real reason for wanting to be a president, second term, was that having teenage girls running around with men with guns. But he would say that all the time. He's like, okay, I think I can do this another 4 years because look at them. They're growing up. But knowing that they wouldn't live with that kind of security for their entire lives, it was like, one day you will be out there. And I think that the reverse happens now is that everybody's trying to hold on, right, to their kids. But one day they're going to get out there. And the only thing that is for certain for kids getting out in the world is they're going to get hit with some failure. That's the only thing that's guaranteed. So we've got to start preparing them early for that, letting them practice making their own decisions and, choosing the knucklehead boyfriend and holding your tongue and, and showing them that you trust them so that when they do fail, they'll come back.
This episode of IMO is brought to you by Theraflu. Hey, it's Craig Robinson here, and let me tell you, being sick is no joke. But you know what's even tougher? Feeling like you can't take the time to rest and recover because you've got bills to pay or a job to keep. Being a coach, even though I was afforded paid sick time, it was the type of job that you really try and muscle through for your team. And I have done that. It made me realize, though, that it is tough for folks who don't have the benefit of paid sick time. It's not only tough on the individual and their families, it's also tough on your coworkers. Maybe you, like so many Americans, have felt that stress too, wondering what your boss will think or if your paycheck will take a hit. That's why I'm proud to talk about what Theraflu is doing with their Right to Rest and Recover campaign. For the past 4 years, they've been championing the right to paid sick time for everyone. I love that Theraflu is making this a priority. Learn more or help someone apply for the fund at theraflu.com/right to recover.
It's funny, I hold my tongue, but I say what I'm going to say. I have to give my honest opinion, but what I'm not going to do is give you like a real emotion that's tethered to that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say what I got to say as an adult, and then whatever you choose to do, that's on you. But I had to tell you what you asked my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to you straight. Now, after that, I love you.
Well, if you ask my opinion, I'm going to tell you. But if you don't, Keenan always say, unworthy inquiry. You ask, I tell. If you don't, then you got to let life talk.
Yeah.
You all, the way you all impersonate your brothers and sisters.
We're all doing an impression of Sean doing an impression of Keenan.
Well, speaking of parenting, I wanted to talk, Marlon, a bit about, just so proud of how you are being a role model for dealing with a child that's transgender.
Absolutely.
And that's, that warms my heart, particularly as a Black man. Would you care to share that journey of?
Well, I learned and their transition really taught me what real unconditional love was.
Yep.
When they went through the transition, I actually went through the transition.
Yep.
I went from denial to complete acceptance. And it took me a week to get there. And what I've learned as a parent is for you to stop loving your child because of their choice in their life, that's a poor reflection on you. You know what I mean? When there's people that go, I'm not going to associate with you because you do that, or this is against God, and this. It's like, listen, I am not here to judge. I am not God. Only God can judge. And I say this, and if that's a mistake and we get to heaven and God don't let my child in, I'm going to shave a beard and sneak him in through the back. But I'm going to love my baby. And I'm a father. And I'm always going to defend them. I'm always going to protect them. I'm always going to respect them. And there's nothing anybody could ever tell me. I could lose fans good. I lost people that are small-minded, small-hearted, and self-loathing. So goodbye. And I gained, for every one I lose, I gain 150 more. You know?
So for me as the uncle, it's, I love you, period, right? But somebody got to write a rule book and how I need to treat you. Because I don't know, like, hey, buddy, can I shake your hand? Can I put you in a headlock? Can I treat you like my like I treat my other nephews? I don't know, and I don't want you to ever feel that I'm judging you.
That's right, because you just don't know. I used to say it's like going to your grandmother and expecting them to learn a new language overnight. It's like they've been speaking this language, using pronouns in this way for their entire life. And to get it wrong, it's a mutual patience with the process.
And they've been very patient with me and their mother. Because, when they changed their name, I'm like, I called you a Mai for 23 years. What you mean? Kai. Kai. I know you as a Mai. What do you mean them? I know you as her. And it was a process. And at the end of the day, it's respect. That's what they want, and that's their wishes. So respect their wishes. And I know that the same child is in there. They're brilliant, right? And that's all I really care about is they're kind-hearted, they're really funny, have a great sense of humor, and extremely intelligent. And, those are the things I'm proud of. Are you a good person? I don't care about your sexualities and, all these other things, your genders or associations. I care that you are a good-hearted person, that you take care of your siblings, your mother, you're respectful. They have been wonderful their whole lives. I never had any problem with them at all. So, and
I like to be putting that out there for the world. I mean, because, we just, especially in our community, we've sacrificed a lot over this issue. And it's all about realizing that we got to love people how they come to us, period. Not just our kids, but all kids. And the notion that, we would, put people in unfair advantages, put their lives at risk over some nonsense.
Because those are bad people. End of the day, when you are being divisive like that, you are a bad person. Your core is bad. You, no matter what you do, you're not going to make your way in heaven. My job is to be here to give laughter and to give love, and everything that got to be my intention and will always be. And that like I said, I'm a father. That's my baby, and I fight with them to the end. Period.
I love that.
You guys should. I mean, that's just absolutely wonderful, and your parents did such a great job with you. I sound like an old man.
I know,
now.
Right? This is how people talk to us. It's like,
it's just and it's just you love to hear when people tell you unsolicited things about your kids. I know I do. When people come up and say, your son was doing such and such, and he's just such a wonderful kid. And I think for Gina, she's just got to have the confidence to raise them now. Don't be friends with them now. Raise them now. And they'll be great human beings that you can be friends with when they're in their 30s.
Our parents were not our friends. They were people who loved us and taught us respect and boundaries and hard work. And I'm not saying this for us, but I'm saying this for people listening, because I think we get this wrong about what our kids need and want. And our kids need and want guidance, respect, love, discipline. None of that. We all got disciplined, but none of that stopped us from loving our parents and revering them, So I want people out
for
there.
5 minutes after the ass whoopings, I'll be like, I want
right.
him to
That's right. There was
get
always
hit by
that.
A train.
I have cursed out my mother underneath my breath on several occasions. But you never did it to their face.
Ever.
This notion that I hate my mom. It's like you better say that in your head, in your room. You don't say that out loud. Parents are too afraid to set those kind of boundaries. And I think that's also part of the challenge that we're facing in this generation. We're replacing love and respect with stuff. And I want to be a proponent for reinstating some of the stuff that we had, some of the good old wisdom that our parents had in raising kids. So we have room in the parenting proposition to be a little more like, get up, get yourself together, to criticize them, to give them strong guidance, to give them our opinions, to direct them.
And engage with them.
And engage
I have
with
this
them.
little 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And she's such a gift.
Yeah.
And when I have her on Mondays, or we go to dinner, or I cook for her. It's just me and her. It's Daddy and Axel. And we do I make sure, and she'll say, Dad, come play with me.
Yeah.
And so I go to her room and we'll have a tea party. And, those things, I think creating those memories, for me, that's the most, she brings out the kid in me.
Yeah.
And I think parents need to take more time when you have time to spend with them in that way, and that play with them.
Yeah, that's a great place to start with sort of parting advice for Gina, right? You can't be too busy to parent. You can't be too tired to parent.
Yep, never.
You can't, you can't be too...
you can't outsource it to a phone.
Or to a nanny.
Yeah.
Those are your kids.
Yeah.
My mama didn't have no nanny.
Yeah.
My mother took care. My mother had black elbows.
Yeah.
Light-skinned woman, black elbows.
Yeah.
Why? Because we had a black windowsill in the projects. And my mother used to sit on that windowsill and watch us play in the middle. All of our kids. Damon, get down from there.
Yeah.
Sean, don't hit him with that bat. My mother sat there on that windowsill watching us, to the point to where her elbows was black. My mama watched her children. Don't be having other people watch your kids. Keep your eyes on your kids. That is your responsibility.
I know, really. It's like, hey, did I do enough?
Did I do enough?
But no, Damon, any parting advice for Gina?
I think you just have to love them and accept everything.
Yeah.
And expect nothing. Because you can't put all your hopes and dreams in them.
Ooh, amen.
You have to let them, what is life if you don't learn lessons? And they they will figure it out. It's 4 of them.
Yeah.
And then
but right now they're probably figuring out who's the alpha.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Some of it is like trying to figure out what
that's
the
just
hierarchy
the natural
is.
order
And you
of
have
things.
to just trust that they're going to figure it out. And you're there as setting the example of what it ultimately should be.
And I find that your kids are raising you in this way. They're trying to teach you something about yourself. They're asking you to be more patient. They're asking you to find different ways to communicate. The kids are really teaching you, like my child taught me unconditional love. I used to always say unconditional love. And then it was like, okay, you really want to practice that? Well, do it.
Here you go.
And that made me go, oh, this is what I was asking of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. I like that because it's like, what are your kids telling you in their disputes?
Yes.
Are they asking for attention? Are they just looking to grow? It may not be a problem at all that your kids are figuring out how to get along with each other. An argument is not always a bad thing. A little scuffle may not be a bad thing. It depends on what's at the foundation of it.
Sometimes it's you. My mother would go, where you get that foul mouth from?
Oh. It's like showing you yourself. Yeah. Well, you guys are, pretty amazing. But
thank you.
Apples
It's
don't
amazing to know amazing.
Don't fall far from the tree. I wish I knew your parents. I did. They do. I wish I could look your parents in the eye and tell them, "Wow, what wisdom." That's what IMO is about. It's like we now have wisdom. We're now at the age where we are them. And we have learned a lot from them. And part of that obligation is to share it with folks who maybe didn't have that.
Absolutely.
Right? Because there are a lot of people trying to figure out, can I be a good parent if I don't have money, if I'm not this or that, And we are all living proof that there's a way to do it, There's a philosophy to follow. And people are looking for help out there. And that, you're willing to bring your wisdom to this table. I'm just grateful.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
It's been a great time. Y'all are good people.
Privilege.
Yeah. Agree.
But the question is, can we be good entertainers in this podcast space?
Oh, I think you dads are doing an amazing job. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, he's just looking for a compliment.
No, I paid him. I paid him early.
Under the table, man. I got to do it under the table.
No, I appreciate you guys being here. It's great to meet you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Good stuff.